Hey everyone, and welcome to Get Celebritized. I'm your host, Aurea McGarry, where I help bring you amazing people to tell their stories to help you earn more so you can live more, live a big, vivacious, juicy, wonderful life and legacy, and have the abundance to give back more to the people and causes that matter most to you. Today is no exception to the rule. I've got an amazing woman here today as my guest, who I've known for several years now through a wonderful women's organization called eWomen Network. Been a member of eWomen for, like 24 years. Such a great community of women. And DrRoz is someone who stands out among the crowd. Just wait till you see her. She is full of life, full of color, full of personality, and you cannot get into a room without noticing her. She can make an entrance. And that's what I love about her because, hey, the squeaky wheel gets oiled. We've got to make our entrances, people, right? Well, DrRoz doesn't just make an entrance. She solves problems. And here's two that she really feels passionate about. She's going to talk about them. DrRoz is visionary leader of the Love Revolution with 5 core values: agape, which I love because that's Greek for love; interconnections, wisdom, wellness, and creativity. She's the author of DebtFreeDegree, which we're going to jump right into in a second. How to graduate college without student loans while getting good grades, having fun, and getting your dream job. Sounds too good to be true? Let's find out. DrRoz, come on up and explain that to us. Welcome.
Hi,
I love the pom-poms.
I'm telling you, I love spending time with you, Aurea. And so anytime I get the opportunity just to be in your orbit, I am delighted. And she's right. We've known each other about 5 years. And talk about somebody that stands out from the crowd. I remember meeting you 5 years ago and thinking, wow, what an amazing lady. And you just have continued to shine and get brighter and brighter and brighter. And you exude love everywhere you go. So I am delighted to be with you today.
I'm so glad to be with you here today, too. I guess like-minded people attract each other. I totally believe in that you attract those, that like yourself. And we are two peas in a pod. Now, I mean, you can't look at your background. I mean, that's the way my mind is right there. I had to declutter my background just to get this much, and people still say, gosh, you got a lot going on. Like, really? Now look at DrRoz. Her personality is explosive, and I love that. And that is so me. So I absolutely adore you. And your necklace also, that graduating cap, that is I like to say a conversation starter. So let's start with that. When I see your necklace, DrRoz, I think graduation. Talk to us about what that means to you and how you help people with this debt-free degree solution.
Yes. So I just want you to know I had this custom made. So right here, you can also see it has a heart on it. So it is about debt-free degree, but it's also about loving yourself enough to graduate fully debt-free. Love the students in your life enough. Love your community members enough to graduate fully debt-free. So I got into debt-free degree it's been almost 20 years ago, because I was taught by my family that we do not go into debt for education. So I have 3 degrees, including my PhD, and I only took $1,000 in loans for all 3. And I can map any degree fully debt free. And oftentimes when I do some sort of, degree mapping, people will say, oh, that's too hard. I don't want to do that. Ma'am, sir, family member, neighbor, do you understand how hard it will be to graduate with 6-figure debt and try to pay that back? So with debt-free degree, you get to choose your hard. Do you do it on the front end, or are you going to be stuck paying all these loans? When I think about graduation, when I think about folks who walk across that stage and they accept their diploma and they have no debt, the minute they walk off that stage, they are building personal and generational wealth. What would it look like if in our families and in our communities, we said, we're not taking the student loans, because when we do, somebody else is making money. But we say, we're going to work really, really hard to be debt free, so that, as Aurea mentioned in her intro, you have more money to spend the way you want to, more money to give to other causes that you care about. And a debt free degree is entirely achievable. I think that's one of the things that folks think, oh, that's for other people, but not for me. Nope, it is for every single student.
It does seem like out of reach, because why doesn't everybody do it and do a debt-free degree? if it's possible. So can you walk us through a couple of tips of how to do that? Do you have to start in high school, middle school, kindergarten? Talk to us a little bit about how do you begin that process of going to college debt free and getting good grades and having fun?
So, in terms of a time frame, one of the things that I have said to parents is, you have expectations for your child. I know it was really not an option for me from the time I was born that I was going to go and get a 4-year degree. It was, unspoken that get as much education as you can. So I did end up getting a PhD, but I knew I was going to get a 4-year degree, and I knew I was going to do it debt free. So it's that second piece that I don't hear a lot of parents talking about. I hear a lot of parents saying you're going to get a 4-year degree. That's also a different conversation, because I believe that every single person here in the United States needs some type of education post high school, even if it's simultaneous to high school. Like, there are students that are graduating high school and graduating with a technical diploma or technical degree at the same time. So
what do you mean? You say it like so matter of fact, because it's how you thought, but I know the viewer is going to be like, what do you mean you knew you were going to go to college debt free? What did your parents teach you that? When did you first get that idea?
From the very, very beginning, it was, we do not go into debt for education.
And that's what you were taught by your parents.
We were just taught that. And
was there a solution? Was it because we do this, this, and this? Or was it just an idea?
It was just, you know how, like, you don't question things in your family. Okay. So I just didn't question.
Know how, you just knew that was the what.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. And so, my personal story is one that, I got Pell Grant in for my undergrad. My master's took me 9 years because, I got an RSA grant, a Rehab Services Administration grant. And for every year I was in school that they paid for, I needed to work in the field for 2 years. So school took 3 years. So 3 times 2 is 6. So 3 plus 6 is 9 years. So what happens
around doing math? Okay, she went to college.
Well, and my PhD also took me 9 years. That's a different story, not for that reason.
I love that. So it's not the traditional, okay, 4 years you're done, 2 more years you're done. This is great.
Exactly. So here's the thing. When people hear, and I have a lot of friends who are in the financial aid sector, in the financial aid arena. I love my financial aid brothers and sisters, and financial aid is not so much about helping the student graduate without debt. Financial aid is about helping the student access funds to be able to pay tuition and fees, if that makes sense. Yeah. So when you say
financial aid or not?
Yes, you do. That's where you get the loans. That's where you get the loans. Okay. So what's easy is walk into financial aid office, tell them you want to attend this school, and they hand you some loan papers and say, and that's exactly what they said to me. That's where my $1,000 came in. It was one summer and Pell Grant didn't pay. And I went to financial aid and I said, help me apply for scholarships. And they said, we don't have any scholarships, but here's a loan paper and just figure out how to pay it off later. And I went against my family's advice and I took the $1,000 loan. And of course I paid that back. That wasn't that hard to do, but students are doing it over and over and over. And, cost of attendance, is right about $25,000 a year at state schools here I'm in Georgia. So let's just use Georgia.
That $1,000 didn't even make a dent.
Right. But I mean, well, of course this was, in the last millennium too, Aurea. So
I went back then too, still.
There is that. So, however, one of the things that I do with my students is, a worksheet. We work through this problem. So when somebody says my cost of attendance for 4 years is going to be $100,000, why should I bother to apply for $1,000 scholarship? Well, let me tell you, you go Google your dream job. You Google that salary, you divide that annual salary by 2,080. That's how many hours is full time. You get you an hourly rate, and then you divide $1,000 by that hourly rate. That's how many hours at your new dream job you're going to have to work to pay back $1,000. And then you multiply that, and then you see how it starts adding up. I think what parents, one of the conversations that they need to have is, we want you to be your best self. We want you on the path that you are ordained to have, that the universe has laid out for you. And we want to do everything we can to help make that happen. And we don't believe that taking loans and just being under this debilitating debt is the path for you. So how can we strategize? Now, sometimes parents have, set aside some money for college that will get them so far.
Right.
I'm talking to parents, I've talked to parents this summer that literally reached out to me and said, my child starts in the fall. We owe $36,000. Can you help us? It's a little bit like saying, I'm going to my, blah, blah, blah year class reunion, and I need to lose 50 pounds in the next, 7 weeks or the next 3 weeks. And, there's just
Right.
not a sustainable way to do that,
Right.
So it's not that it's ever too late exactly. It's just we might have to alter some time frames.
Yeah, you need a good, leeway for sure. That's why you're talking to people. So a couple of questions. Like, do you start talking to parents when their kids are in like 7th and 8th grade? When do you start this conversation, and how do you get your clients? Like, your clients are the kids that you help. Do you talk to the parents first, the kids? You work with the schools? How does that all play out?
It is all of the above. And so as you mentioned, I published a book June 15th. And so delighted to have that out into the world.
I love that.
Degree. And one of the things that I talk about in there is my vision to have a debt-free degree club at every middle school and high school, every community organization, every youth organization in the nation. And as of the recording of this, I have 4 clubs that are established. And
nice.
So I'm super excited.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And we talk about clubs. I always think of the quote, I think Mary Kay taught it to us a long time ago. People support that which they help to create. So if you have clubs, they're supporting it, they're engaging it, they're getting involved, and I can see a lot more happening, a lot more results because they're part of it. They're not just asking for a handout or, hey, mom and dad, do this for me. It's like they become part of it, which is so cool. Are the results better because of that?
Well, you know what? Our first club starts next month. So we'll see.
Congratulations.
We're on the cusp of it. So,
what do people do if they want to start a club in their schools?
So on the website, you just go to DrRoz.love. It's there on the screen, and you'll see up at the top debt-free degree, and click that drop down. You'll see clubs, and you go and fill out, this is why I want to be, a club advisor. The great thing is I have 6 more slots for folks who want to pilot the curriculum at no charge. And so if that's something that you all are interested in, as I said, get your information in there.
Can there be a parent at a school for that?
So 3 of the 4 club advisors are parents, which is really cool. And then the 4th club is actually an advisor in a community organization that they do an annual event, and they were looking for a curriculum to follow those youth for the following year. And so none of them are educators. And educators, you would think, would be the perfect fit for being a club advisor. And many of the schools require some sort of educator to be, like the building supervisor. However, y'all, we have put so much on our educators. I mean, the expectations that we put on our teachers and principals and admin staff.
They need a raise.
Horrendous. Yes. So trying to get them to start something else is just like, I just don't have time for that. So I think it's why parents and community members are the best place.
Wow. I love how you're approaching this. And when you were talking about the loans and everything, I've got 2 questions on that. It's been a long time since I've applied for financial aid. We're talking, I think I graduated high school when I was 16. And we're talking back in the late 70s. Don't do the math on my age. No, I don't care. I'm proud of my age. I'm all good.
Exactly, honey. Let me tell you, if I looked like you at your age, I would be like, hello, do y'all realize how old I am? Yes, ma'am. You look fabulous.
Thank you. You do too. I just love it. I got cancer on my 38th birthday. So I almost didn't make it to 40. So I love birthdays. So I'm all about it. I don't care. I'm going to be 63 this year. Next month. I'm proud of it.
When is your birthday, Aurea?
October 7th. I'm a Libra. But what my question was, back in the day, back then, an $1,800 loan, I got financial aid, got the student loan, all this stuff. Is there, in this day and age, are there a lot of fees and interest on student loans? Or are they without fees? What makes it different between a student loan and a regular loan? Is it lower fees?
So to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know, because I don't know anything about student loans, because I don't I have a no loan policy.
I love it. Okay, good.
When folks come to me and they ask me about student loans, I simply don't know. One
And you
thing
don't
that
want
I
to know.
can though say is I've interviewed folks who have taken loans. So I interviewed, and it's actually somebody, Aurea, that you and I know. And I interviewed her. She graduated 23 years ago with $75,000 in debt. She made a payment every single month for 23 years. She did not make a payment during COVID because they were, on pause.
Right.
However, her interest continued to rise. And as of about 4 months ago, her balance is $60,000.
After 23
After
years?
23 years. There's somebody else that I interviewed that their parent passed away. They had taken a certain type of loan. Now, keep in mind, if I buy a home or I buy a car, I do have a tangible asset that I can sell. Even if I'm upside down, I can sell it to recoup something.
Right.
This person's parent had not only gotten information, gotten the education and taken the loans for this education, but when the parent passed away, of course, the education and the knowledge passed away. There's not a tangible asset, yet her student loans went to her heirs. So the daughter, as the heir, as the executor, had to pay student loans before the rest of the family.
Oh my gosh, that can't be. That's wrong.
I don't think that that's a standard loan, from what I understand. I don't think that's everybody's story, but that is a real story.
Well, then I have another question for you. Okay, what about for those who are going to maybe they're going to some college or whatever, but like a chiropractic school, like I always say, my son-in-law is a wonderful chiropractor, went to Life University. What about loans like that, or financial aid, or what you're saying, debt free? Can you go to a trade school like that, which is very expensive? You're talking, it's a doctor school. It's definitely degreed, and it's like ridiculous the amount you have to get. Is there any help for people like that want to go into a trade like chiropractic?
There is, so there are some grants and scholarships out there, but they're few and far between. And one of the ways that I recommend when folks want to get, those advanced degrees and those super expensive degrees, like a medical degree, is the route that I recommend is joining the military. And immediately people are like, oh, that's just too hard. That's just too. If you think about it, I interviewed somebody who just had graduated from dental school, and they graduated with $400,000 in debt. $400,000
Yeah.
debt. Then I interviewed this other student. He was in his undergrad and he wanted to be a dentist. And I said, have you considered the military? And he said, oh my gosh, that's just too hard. And I don't want to do that. That just, it would just derail all my plans. And I said, do you understand how hard it will be to pay off $400,000? Because that's who I just interviewed. Do you understand that if you go into the military, not only will they train you to be a dentist, so you're getting expertise in that field, in that profession. When you leave the military, you open up your own practice completely debt free. So it is prolonging. It's looking at beginning with the end in mind. And folks say, well, I don't want to do that. And I say to them, in so much love, begin with the end in mind. So if you're working with DrRoz, your end in mind is the debt-free degree. Your end in mind is not, I want this by this time and this date, so that I can, and then figure out how to pay for it. It is, how do you get there debt-free?
Hopefully there's other options too, because not everybody is approved for the military too. Because I have known some that they can't get in. They want to, but they know there's certain reasons why they don't qualify. So that's always, that's there too. So let's talk a little bit then. If someone, parents, because a lot of parents watch the show, if they've got teens already in high school, what is your best advice to them? Tell us about what you're doing right now. And then I want to talk about your love revolution, because it's really, really a wonderful balance. So let's talk a little bit about what they can do if they're already in high school, what's some of their best steps, and how you can help them start preparing for the college degrees.
Yes. I would say my best tip for parents, regardless of where your students are. So let's say your student, this is late August. Let's say your student starting college this fall. There's a different type of conversation you can be having as far as the debt-free degree. But I would say overall, as parents, I would say put time on the calendar that you and your child have agreed to, and that's when you talk about college and everything college related. And then you agree that you're going to talk about it during that time frame, and you're not going to talk about it during all the other time frames. because I think what students and parents are saying is breakfast is so contentious because he's so lazy, because he won't talk to me about did he do his scholarship essay. And the kid is saying, on the drive to school, when she picks me up from school, at dinner, like everywhere, we've got to be talking college 24/7, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
The other thing, parents, is really thinking about those nonverbals. So I've got some students who have some parents who were phenomenally overjoyed and delighted that they were receiving information, receiving even acceptances to some really prestigious elite schools. And there were some schools that were some state schools that weren't perhaps as academically elite. Perhaps they weren't name dropping schools like some of these other schools. And the student really wanted to go the state school route. And of course, the state school route also offered a debt-free degree. And they were afraid to have the conversation with their parents because they got so excited about the name dropping school that they were getting the message non-verbally from their parents that they wouldn't be proud of them for going to the state school. And so, we think that as parents, we think we're conveying, I support you and I love you and I'm so excited. And if we're only supportive and excited about one aspect of it, then it kind of sends the message that perhaps we're not. And so during these conversations, it's that opportunity to say, I want to put it all on the table. I use grit in all of my interactions and all of my programs. And the grit blueprint for listening, and this is for students and for parents, is when you have a conversation with someone, G is give an ear. You just want me to listen. R is respond. I is intervene, or T is all three. I need all hands on deck. So a parent can go to a student, or a student can go to a parent and say, I want to talk about this. And one of them can say, are you just asking me to listen? Because I'll be a sounding board. And that's happened with my son before.
That's great.
He came to me and he was in England and he had lost his passport. And he called me and, I immediately went into, okay, intervene, blah, blah, blah. He said, Mom, I've handled it. I'm just calling to let you know what steps I've done.
What's the grit again? GRIT. What does it stand for?
So G is give an ear. I just need you to listen.
Okay.
Or I need you to respond. I'm actually asking for your opinion.
Okay.
I need you to intervene. Like I need you to step in.
Help me. Okay.
Yeah. And T is all three. Like it is all hands on deck. I'm on fire here. Help me. Yeah.
I love it. How can you best when you're going to someone, your mom, your friend, or whatever, can you alert them if you all know the grit system? Can you say, Elizabeth, this is a G moment or an R moment, or hey, this is grit.
Right, exactly.
I need it all.
Exactly. So if you use that grit listening paradigm, plus you use this scheduling system where you're saying, okay, here's when we're going to do this. Now, it doesn't mean that the kid can't come to you when it's not during that scheduled appointment, or you can't go to them perhaps and say, hey, this just came up. I know we're not on the calendar to talk about college. It's just this pervasive conversation that parents and students are so tired of. So if there's a way we can put it on there. And also it does put too much focus on striving and achieving, and it's not as much about who they are as a person.
Yeah.
So it helps situate things a little bit.
This is great communication skills for everything, Dr. Roz. I mean, this can overflow into all communication, which we know is challenging for parents and teenagers anyway. Parents and middle schoolers, just, once they hit that age of, 10, 12, 13, 11, right in there somewhere, things kind of go like, mom doesn't know anything anymore. Dad doesn't know anything anymore. And it lasts for many years, right? So this is really, really good information for any type of talks you want to have, whether it's college or something else, which will lead us beautifully, Dr. Roz, into the other arm of your business, is that love revolution and your 5 core values. How does that play into this? Tell me a little bit more about that. I see you have a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. in the back, which I know has relevance to the work you do. So talk to us a little bit about the love revolution.
Yes. So the umbrella of my company is Love Revolution, and it has 3 different pillars. One is work that I do at the King Center, and I'll explain that in a little bit. One is my own coaching and speaking program called Leading with Love. And then the other is Debt Free Degree. Love yourself enough to graduate fully debt free. Love your student, your community member, etc. So the Leading with Love, when I say love, it is letting others voluntarily evolve. So you meet them right where they are. You say, I see you. I'm not asking you to change. I'm just saying that's where you are and I love you. You have a heartbeat. You have dignity and I love you. And so I do coaching program with that. I speak to groups about leading with love. Then the other aspect is the work that I do at the King Center. And Dr. King, probably one of my favorite quotes by him is, a social movement that moves merely people is a revolt. But a social movement that transforms, and I'm adding like caterpillar to butterfly, a social movement that transforms people and institutions is a revolution. So if you look at the word revolution, REVOL, it has love backwards. So in my logo, you'll see that the EVOL is backwards. So it's love revolution. Where I'm actually heading, Aurea, is 8 billion people loving 8 billion people. That's the revolution. Debt-free degree is a revolution because we're looking at the higher education funding industry and we're saying, no. We're going to turn it on its head so that students go from debilitating debt to financial freedom. So this love revolution is how do we garner all of this love and regard, this agape. And what people will say to me is, Elizabeth, that's just got to be so exhausting. It's just so emotional and so heavy. And the more they talk, the smaller they get. And I'm like, are you kidding? Agape has nothing to do with my heart. It is 100% cognitive. It is a choice.
Agape is Greek for like God's perfect love. Agape.
For God's perfect love and for unconditional love.
Yeah, well, that's God's perfect love. It's unconditional.
Right.
So I love agape.
It doesn't mean that there's got to be some kind of transaction there, or there's got to be some sort of, like a philia love, which is another word in the Greek. Agape is you have a spark of divinity and therefore I love you.
And say agapo is Greek for I love you. So it's got agape.
Really?
I've got the tattoo, say agapo, for my daughter.
It's
Greek for I love you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I have a tattoo that's Hebrew, that's shalom. And then my car tag, because agape was taken, so I couldn't get that one.
Oh.
My car tag is ahava, which is Hebrew for love.
I love it. You're all about love and love revolution. Remind me, I've got some people I need to introduce you to that also do things having to do with love right here in the Atlanta area and some other networking groups I do. Excellent. And one of them is Christina, who does a love box, which is writing love notes to people and to whether it's organizations or children in the hospital or to your relatives or your future kids or grandkids or whatever. It's just amazing. It's really good. So I need to connect the both of you. Yeah. But my question to you is, this is so great. And these all kind of wrap up so nicely with love yourself enough to graduate debt free. I would have never put those two together. I do a lot with clients that teach self-care, and taking good care of yourself, because that's a thing. Mental health is a thing now, more so than, probably not more so a thing than ever before, but it's come to the surface more since the pandemic. People are much more aware of it than ever before. It kind of brought a lot of it up to awareness than ever, but it was more in the shadows. People were ashamed to talk about it or didn't know exactly what it was when you were having anxiety or depression, and now it really became relevant. So I want to ask you this: how on earth, Dr. Roz, did you get started in putting these elements together, from the love revolution to your book Debt Free, to love yourself enough to go debt free, to working at the King Center? Because you're right here in the Atlanta area with us. King Center is a big deal here. Martin Luther King Jr. has a huge presence here, his church, everything. So how did that all come to play?
So do you, I don't know if you remember, Aurea, Shrinky Dinks. Did you have a Shrinky Dink?
Yes!
Okay. So when I was 5 years old, this is the Shrinky Dink.
You still have a Shrinky Dink. What's it say?
It says, God is love and love is God. And I made that at 5. So I knew at 5 years old that was what I was meant to do, was love every single person on the planet. And then life stepped in, and life was like, oh, Elizabeth, that's stupid. And you can't do that. And you need to choose sides. You need to choose, politically, are you a D or an R? You need to choose. Do you like people just with your skin tone or other skin tones? You can't like everybody with all those other skin tones.
Pick a niche, pick a niche.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick
and
a community.
It just kind of kept, divide.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in Athens, Georgia. Go Bulldogs! And
yay, Bulldogs!
I did not know, and I currently live in Swanee, which is about 45 minutes from the King Center. I did not know that the Martin Luther King Center existed until 2018. I had no idea. And I went through a process, Aurea, that I call unlearning and relearning. And so as a white Southern girl, being taught certain things, having extended family members who are very proud of, I would qualify to be a daughter of the Confederacy if I chose to join that organization. And I just was steeped in that. All of that is, heritage, not hate. And, we should be very proud. And that because there's, currently no segregation in my high school. I graduated in 1988, and it was half white, half black. Because there's no segregation in terms of your high school, then there's no more racism. And I really stayed in that bubble. And it's super easy as a white girl in the South to stay in that bubble, that this doesn't exist. And in the middle of my PhD program, I read Cornel West, Race Matters. And that is what changed it for me. And I started asking questions. And that was my relearning and unlearning and, all of that. And so I started following the King Center on Twitter. And they announced that they were going to have a 2-day orientation to Dr. King's philosophy in April of 2018. And I thought, I have got to sign up. And sitting there for those 2 days, hearing Martin Luther King say the myth of independence, having him say, I had never, the only thing that I knew about Dr. King before I got there was the I Have a Dream speech, which had essentially taught me to be colorblind. Mm-hmm. And so I had never read anything by him until I attended that 2-day orientation. And Steve Jobs says, our identity is where we put the dent in the universe. And I knew in April of 2018 that my dent was to teach nonviolence around the world. I had no idea what that was going to look like. What I was still working full time in higher ed. I had not even retired from higher ed at that point. And so that was April of 2018. In August of 2018, I get an email from Dr. Bernice King. She's the CEO of the King Center. She's the youngest child of Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King. And it says from, Dr. Bernice King, and then it says, Dear Elizabeth. And I'm like, I'm sure Dr. Bernice King has
right.
And then she goes on to say, I'm being asked to teach my father's philosophy around the world. I'm assembling a training team. Are you interested? And I thought, who says no to Dr. Bernice King? Yes, ma'am, I'm interested.
Right.
I got there. I didn't know if she'd asked 100 people, 1,000 people. I had no idea. There are 10 certified trainers in the world. I'm the only one who's not African American. We have 3 senior trainers, and then we have Dr. Bernice. There are 14 of me in the world. And I am so delighted and humbled to be a part of that training team. And I literally have taught to organizations and communities around the world Dr. King's philosophy and methodology. And one of the things I talk to my students about when they say, I don't have time to earn a debt-free degree, or I don't have time for whatever, I'll say an hour a day is 4% of your day. And I spend that hour studying Dr. King every single day.
That's phenomenal. I love that. I can so resonate with so much of what you said too. And I remember, I love the King so much. Naomi King, before she passed away, it was several years ago, she was looking for an event MC for one of their wonderful events they were doing that was supporting some of the nonprofits they do in Africa. And they wanted diversity. So they sought out somebody who knew of me. I was their MC for Naomi King that and the entire King family that was there. And I've interviewed them on Len Live. And I'll tell you, it was the most wonderful event I've ever been to. And how giving and kind and special they all were, just to get pictures with them all. And to be there because they wanted me to be there and build that diversity as well as possible. They sought me out. And I'm like you, I was from New York City. I wasn't a Southern girl. I was New York. I mean, melting pot. Everybody was just, I thought everybody was equal. Come to the South, find out how naive am I.
Yes.
And I did a television show during the pandemic with two of my friends, Melissa Carter and Mark Hayes. And during the George Floyd episode, I said, Mark, we need to do an episode. We did Success Talk. They actually won a Telly Award for this episode I'm about to tell you.
Wow.
I said, there's so much going on.
Yes.
And you need to tell us, your two little white girlfriends, how do we end racism? Show us, tell us. And he did on the air. And you know what he said was the one answer to it? Because, I was totally colorblind. I had no idea what was still going on. I'm like, I'm from New York. Does this still exist? Yes, it does. And even worse than I thought when he would talk about how he had to de-black his home before trying to sell it.
Yes.
I'm like, what?
Yes.
What? So he said, here's something. I'll give this to everybody because I know you have this love revolution going on. And it was such great advice. He said, if more people would volunteer at like Girls and Boys Clubs of America, those types, not to be that exact one, but in a different community than their own. So people in different communities, whether it's different, whether I go where there's more people from Mexico, more people from the South, the inner city, doesn't matter, Canada, doesn't matter. Just people that don't look like us, don't come from the same walk of life, where we can go and volunteer and be big brothers and big sisters in communities that are not our own, where they can get to know the love that we really have, the good people in those communities. It's kind of like when good cops go out and volunteer and show not all cops are bad cops. There are bad ones that have done bad things, but don't put a blanket over it. But how are they going to know that unless those good people go in uniform other places and be big brothers and big sisters? So we can communicate together, so we can become friends together and say, wow, I didn't know people like you were nice. I didn't know people like you weren't racist or were kind. And that's what we got to stop saying in our own little segments. We got to get out there and not just say, hey, I'd love to help. Go out there and be a part of the solution by making friends, by your love revolution. I love this.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, never left me. I've done thousands of shows, and that one really touched my heart. I never forgot what Mark told us.
Yeah.
Because we're like, God, I want to help. We can't believe it's, a lot of us can't believe it's still there. And it is. So next question, how can we help? What do we need to do? Now that I'm fully aware, I can't just sit back and just say, well, it'll go away someday. No. How do we become part of the solution? How do we make a dent? I love that you said that dent. How do we make a dent? We can't change the whole world, but can I change someone in my neighborhood? Can I change a few kids in a different community than mine to let them know, people that don't look like you aren't all bad for all of us? We just really need a more inner mix. And I'm with you, like with red and blue and DNR. It's like, come on, we all want the same thing. We're all Americans. Stop with the fighting. It's just, tell us your points. Tell us what you want to do to help us. And then, let's not hate the inside.
I have a faith tradition, and one day I was telling somebody there was a different war going on. And I was telling them, this person, that I was praying for, these particular people. And she patted me on the shoulder. She said, oh, sweetie. Oh, like, oh, sweetie. She said, oh, that's not who we're praying for. We're praying for this other side. And I said, lots and lots and lots of people in our country are praying for that side, but I'm praying for this other side because my
for both sides, right?
Loves every single person on that side. Yes, it wasn't that I wasn't praying.
It's like pray for America.
It's like you. If you have a faith tradition, if you have a higher power, then do you want to worship a higher power that says I like you and I don't like you? No, it's 8 billion people.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You're in trouble if somebody comes up to you, oh, sweetie. It's like, bless your heart. Let me tell you the truth. It's like, oh my gosh, we're going down this road. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But now I could have responded to her in 5 different ways.
Yes.
I could have clapped back at her and let her know, blah, 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 blah. Instead, in love, I said to her, oh, what if you thought about it this way? So yes, go out and do something. Yes, go out and serve communities. Yes, go out and build bridges, and make sure that who you are as a person is also coming out. And
Amen.
so it is, at the King Center. So people ask me, what is the connect between Debt-Free Degree and nonviolence? How do
Yes.
I say that it's a form of nonviolence? Well, the King Center, our definition of nonviolence is it is a love-centered way of thinking and speaking, engaging and acting that leads to personal and then cultural and then societal transformation. So how am I thinking about myself? How am I thinking about others? What are my words? The backspace on my computer and on my phone gets a handy little workout because I can, do the keyboard warrior thing. And then I go, Elizabeth, is that nonviolent? Is that love-centered?
Yeah.
Delete. I had an interaction, recently, and there were a lot of different ways that I could have reacted. And I just prayed about it. I said, okay, God, what is it you want me to say? And essentially, I just said, I see you and I love you. And the person started crying. The person had been so vitriolic to me, so directly to me, where I really wanted to meet that vitriol. And instead, I just said, I see you and I love you. And
That's not easy sometimes.
It's not. But it's that
choice. You make that choice, DrRoz. You
Yes.
easily can choose the other, and that's not an easy choice. You make it sound, like we're talking, oh, that's great, that's sweet, but it really is a choice.
Yes.
And I'm sure it doesn't come easy, and it doesn't come easy to us, especially as moms, when it's happening to our kids.
Yes.
Because I know we'll easily be passive to somebody that's doing it to us, and we'll just try to, love them with kindness and kill them with kindness and all that. But when something's happening to our kids,
yes,
that is where the rubber hits the road. Do I kill this person? Do I, Lord, can I just do this? Can I ask for forgiveness later? Because that's my kids. We're bears at that moment.
Right.
So how do you handle that when you see it happening to somebody you love and care for, like your children?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is, and it's teaching our kids to respond in love. So they're on the receiving end of something that's not at all loving. And, if Dr. King talks about this descending spiral of violence, that violence begets violence. And, quite honestly, Aurea, you can look back millennia and see we have tried the violent route really, really well. Like we've really given it college
every generation has had violence and war.
Every single way. And it is not solving problems.
No, it's not.
So what if we grabbed a hold of love and we said, let's use love to solve our problems? And again, I'm not advocating that you have to study nonviolence, but it's where, like when you said that's, that was a hard choice for me, or, it's not necessarily intuitive. It became intuitive. It becomes intuitive because I study Dr. King every day. I study that philosophy, and I do it imperfectly every single day.
Yeah, and the more you practice something, the more natural it becomes. And like I said, it'll get really tested if you see your child being abused or your child going through something. But I'll give you a perfect example. When I got diagnosed with cancer, I didn't just that moment say, "Ooh, I better get some faith. I better become a Christian. I better, who is this God?" It was like when I got cancer and they told me I'd never speak again, and they removed half of both my lungs and my thymus, and my heart, disconnected half my diaphragm, did all the things. I was so glad that I was already a strong, believing Christian, that I was so filled up with the Word of God. God was so present in my life. And now I am not perfect. I am imperfectly Christian, right? But it was like every day. I mean, it was just everything to me that carried me through organically. That's how, when they said you'll never speak again, but your cancer is curable, that I innately, without second thought, okay, God, either show me how to live my life without a voice, and you can do that and you'll get the glory, or give me back my voice, and you don't need my vocal cord to do that, so I'll expect a miracle. That would not have happened. That wouldn't have happened if I wasn't already there, already pumped up, prayed up. That was my walk of life. Just like you're saying with love.
That's
if
exactly
you
right.
get hit with something really traumatic, maybe something's happening to a child. And I say that because nothing matters more to a parent than a child. And you see hate coming at your child and you want to react. You will innately react in love, not because we're superhuman and, oh, aren't we sweet and special? No, it's we're practicing it every day. Those muscles are built and they will come into fruition when we need it, because they're ready to go at any given second. And
Yes.
when you need it is when you already need to be ready for it,
Yeah.
because that's not when we want to get strong. Oh, wait, let me go to the gym. Let me press those barbells with love muscles. I really need to
Right.
love this person. You better already be loved up,
Right.
and ready
Exactly.
for it. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's practice. Not that we're anything perfect. Love, I think, does come more naturally to many of us that just, or like, I don't have like a temper and it's easy for me. Love, the glass is always half full. Yeah, there's personalities like ours that do that, but still, again, it all
Mhm.
bets are off when something's happening to our kids. I have 2
Yes.
daughters. Don't
Yep.
mess with them.
That's right.
That's when it's like, I'm a Christian, but God, just turn away for one moment. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
It's my
Yeah.
babies, and they'll always be my babies. And they're grown
Right.
adults.
Right. 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 Right.
But build those muscles now. So
Speaking
with
of our
that,
kids, you were talking about how you didn't know that certain things existed. And my son was going to the prom in 2016. It was going to be held at Stone Mountain Park.
okay.
And his high school had to move it to a quite swanky location, a hotel downtown. We're in the suburbs, as I said, of Atlanta, because they were having a KKK white nationalist rally at at Stone Mountain in 2016. And people think, oh, that happened like in the 60s. And we have some friends that live in California, and they were like, get over yourself. Why are you still talking about that? And I said, this happened in 2016. And physically, it was just like, what, 2016? This is still happening? Yes, it's still happening.
Horrible, just
Yeah.
horrible. But we can definitely make a difference, and you are making a difference. And I love everything that you're doing, Dr. Roz. So in closing, Dr. Roz, your book is behind you. Bring it up front. Let me see that book.
Yes.
Show that book, Debt Free Degree. Absolutely love that. Your website is right here in the black and red, drroz.love.
Yes.
.com. And I love that your website is so full of hearts. And when you go to your cursor, it's a little heart cursor. I'm like, that is so cute. So in closing, if you could tell us anything, any call to action, anything that you want, the mic is yours. Close us out with some special thoughts from you.
Yes. Every single month, I offer 2 free webinars, and you can ask any question that you want to about Debt Free Degree. You can attend as often as you would like, and the people that will come, they'll say, I just want one tiny little laser coaching about this or this, and I answer all the questions at the end, and you can find all of that on my website. So I would be delighted to see you in the free Debt Free Degree webinars.
So on your website, where do they go? What's the link?
It's actually, so all of my web pages have .love at the end. So you can go specifically to DebtFreeDegree.love, and you'll see the webinars and sign up for as many as you want to. So, and I do 2 free a month, and they're I think the dates are on the website through October, but I have them built out through January of 25 right now.
Can students come too? Like if they're in high school?
Middle school students, high school students, elementary school students. I did an in-person speaking event, and there was a 5th grader there who was asking me about ways to get NIL money. I was like, yes, sir. I'm glad you're asking that. So he was already intent on
what's NLI money?
NIL is name, image, likeness. It's a new NCAA. I'm going to botch this. So for those of you that are watching, if I've said it incorrectly, then excuse me, I apologize.
It's okay.
It's in love, but it's basically like college athletes who used to not be able to make money off of their, signing a jersey or their jersey number or whatever. Now they can. And there are some that are making millions, Aurea. There are some college athletes that are making millions. There are some high schools that are offering NIL money in high school. So there are high school players that are getting paid to perform at their sport.
Oh, that's awesome. You're a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge. I hope everybody will tap into you. DrRoz.love. Everything is there. Or DebtFreeDegree.love. Is that correct?
Yes.
The book is phenomenal. Dr. Roz, you're phenomenal. It's so great to finally kind of dive in and have this juicy conversation with you. We pass ways all the time in our network events. We say our nice hellos and how you doing. But now I really got to know you more, and I'm so glad I did. And that's one reason I do this show, Get Celebritized, for my own purpose, to get to know other really cool people in a much deeper way. So this is so fun. You're phenomenal. I'd love to have you back as well later on to see what's going on in 2025. When things might change, the world changes constantly. So you can keep us abreast of what's going going on.
Exactly. I will.
Thank you, Dr.
And
Roz.
speaking of 25 years, I think I did the math right.
Uh-oh.
On your birthday, you will have been, it will be 25 years post your diagnosis. And look at you and look at God still using your voice, still changing the world, even given that particular situation and that diagnosis. And you're
right. 1999 when I was diagnosed, they took it all out. And then I went on my way, and chemo almost killed me. I was very sick. It was rough, but I just had faith, and I just knew God didn't bring me that far to drop me. It wasn't my time yet. I just had that everybody around me really knew that too. It was one of those God things, God moments, and the joy that passes all understanding. I was happy, but I was sick at the same time. It was very interesting. I have good memories of it, even though I was very, very sick.
Yeah.
So it was one of those 25 years.
25 years. So
God is good. God is good.
Yeah, exactly.
And but God's no respecter of persons. What he did for me, does for me, he can do for anyone. So just have faith. And thank you, Dr. Roz. You've been a perfect guest for our Earn More, Live More, Love More, and Give Back More. Thank you, Dr. Roz. Until next time, this is Aurea McGarry signing out from Get Celebritized. Go make it your best legacy ever. Bye for now.